right, all right, all right. Okay, we good. We are. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Make sure, if you may, that you hit the like button. Hit the like button. We are about to begin the lesson.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever.
Check those books. Yeah. Check down. Don't worry about it if you don't have it.
Abba Noah, Shabbat Shemaya, Kodash Haya Shemka Ahaya, Malakwaka Kaba'a, Ratazawanka Haya Aisha, Ba'arataza Kawa, Haya Bashamaya, the thunder nawa, the kang kau yawam. Wasalak nawa, kawat waf nawa, pasalak nawa, kawat waf yanawa wala'a. Kabayak nawa, anasaya one above. Our shy nawa, man rai kayalata. Kamalakwa baha Allah. Bahata Ara, La Iwalamya, Aman. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. 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 Amen.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Rawchaa, along with Elder Lawya, and of course, Elder Rawchaa in the background for our Sabbath lesson. We're going to jump right in. One of our more important lessons to date. Our particular lesson today is titled, and you can see it right there before you, Amalek Attacks Against Israelites. Amalek Attack against Israelites. Now, the reason why we're going into this is because the Most High, through His Word, through the Most High's God of Israel's prophets of the Old Testament, even up into the time of Christ and the disciples' ministry, it was actually highlighted all through the Bible that man of sin who always through history attacked the Israelites would be revealed. Excuse me. There's so many complex thoughts going through my head, and I want to take my time so I can make sure it's not all coming out at once. That man of sin at the very end would be revealed, who opposeth himself against all that is right. Right now, under this COVID pandemic, the children of Israel are under attack. Okay? Our people are under attack. And one of the most frustrating pieces in this whole scenario is our people don't realize by who. Okay. Well, you'll never understand that if you don't understand historically who are the Israelites and who are the Edomites. We're under attack by Amalek. Now, the reason I'm going in here so you can understand that Amalek's tactics has been chronologized so that man of sin can be revealed. You can go into the Bible and identify his traits, his tricks, his deception from one generation to the next. And by default, we come out with the understanding of who? That man of sin. It has been Amalek attacking us throughout all of history, hiding himself as the people of the Bible. Let's put it that way. So if you want to know where Bill Gates fit in, what his true plans are, it has nothing to do with what they're saying on the news. If you want to know what the Rockefellers' plans always was throughout history, if you want to know about the Rothschilds, Rockefellers in their hand and everything that's going on in the earth today, you'll find out today why and what to do. Now, Amalek has a few traits, okay, that we must first highlight in understanding Amalek. Also, another thing, Amalek is what the Bible calls the chief house of Satan. He's the man on earth executing Satan's will and power and authority against us. Okay? Now, Amalek cannot do these things without deception, trickery, listen to me clearly, and help. So I'm gonna tell you a lot of blood is going to be spilled with the sword being yielded on from every angle this Sabbath. Amalek cannot achieve his objectives without help. That's where feminism comes in at, and that's where separating our women from us come in at. Our women don't realize they were tricked by Amalek to a degree in which now it's all coming to a head. Amalek will begin to attack and destroy the women, he helped destroy the chosen men of God. Listen to what I'm showing you here. Because that's one of Amalek's tactics. One thing you can always point out about Amalek, he takes care of or go against the weak, the feeble, the helpless first. And then he attacks the man. That's my mama. Let me let her know I'm teaching. Okay, let me turn this off. No more disruptions. That's it on that. That's it. No more disruptions. I'm turning this off. Power off. There you go. Amalek cannot do what he does without the help of not just women, our women. Now, that's why the Bible says repent. That's why the Bible says come back under righteous order, because now Amalek has begun to attack his helpers. Right? Now, last week we identified to some degree who's Edom. We started last week, this Sabbath, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
Went into Edom, and then we segue into who's Edom in the academy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now we're going into Amalek's attack against Israelites. Who is Amalek in the earth, and how can we identify him? Now, what we're going to do, too, as a caveat, usually we do this in the academy, but this is for you brothers and sisters, study library, to actually get your study acumen up. We're going to go into the Jewish encyclopedias today to show you that the information that we're bringing forth isn't our own, what you would call conspiracy theory, when it comes to the banks and what their role is in using finances in the bank system led by Amalek to attack us. Okay, we're gonna show you in the Jewish encyclopedia where they actually tell on themselves. So now, first and foremost, before we dive in, we have right now it's 2,155 people in, and only 1,200 some odd likes. So what I need, just help me out real quick. Just do me a favor, brothers and sisters. I know some of you just came in. Just hit the like button so that we can drive this up. Okay, as you come in for now on, hit the like button, because the history we're going to bring out, what we're about to bring out, like I say, the sword is going to be swinging either way, but it's going to take some level of self-reflection to come into the knowledge of the Most High, to be under his protection during this time. Do not take this personal. Do not take anything personal. Take this as constructive criticism and a spiritual warning from the Almighty to come under God's hedge. So do me a favor. We're at 1,400. You're doing a great job with that. Do us a favor. Hit the like button if you haven't already. If you're in, hit the like button. And as soon as we get this at 2,000 likes, I'm going all the way in. Elder Lawya, I need you to first get Amalek out of the Jewish encyclopedia.
Yes, sir.
Now, what I did, brothers and sisters, I ordered some of the oldest encyclopedias that could be found on earth, understanding that they're revising a lot of this and taking the information away from you. Everything good?
Books here.
1 second. What did it hit? Did it hit the power there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. You good?
Yes, sir.
All right. Great. Want to make sure everything is still. We're still here. No, it went out. All right. Just move that over there so that don't happen no more. All right. They got to kick back in. All right. We're back. Okay. We're back. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry about that. It went out for a second. It's good. Okay, right now we have the likes at 1,800. Let's move this up to another 200. If you're coming in, we have 2,300 in, only 1,800 likes. Get this up to 2,000 as you come in so that we can jump in so I don't have to stop and ask about the likes anymore. All right. Hold tight, and we'll be right back with the Amalek attack against Israelites. Get those likes up. Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra-biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that he used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited. Yes, you are invited, and thank you for getting the likes up to over 2,000. Thank you, and we appreciate it. When you come in, just hit the likes. Let's jump right in. Amalek attack against Israelites. You notice for the last year, we've been hearing about this rise in anti-Semitism and how there should be some orchestrated front with all races and ethnicities united against anti-Semitism. I don't know if you've noticed that, where they had Jay-Z and all the other black artists and all that, and actors coming out as a front against what you would call the political anti-Semitism. Well, folks, you're going to find that's a cover. That's a cover. Why? Because keep in mind, as we come closer to the end, people will begin to research like we've done and understand who was always behind our destruction, our divide. They knew it would come a time where we would start pointing out those who've been attacking us behind their glass walls, looking in, their glass ceilings that we cannot grow past. We're going to find who made the box we're contained under, fighting each other like crabs in a bucket. So they started these campaigns understanding that eventually the pendulum would begin to swing their way, and identifying them as Amalek with an agenda. So that's why we're going into this, so you'll know you won't get caught up into the coronavirus thing, the COVID thing, the mask thing. Folks, this thing is way deeper than some stinking virus. There is no virus, okay? There's no virus. So let's stop the nonsense. The laws that they're implementing right now is what it's all about. They're coming after the children of Israel. This is Jacob's trouble. So We're letting sisters know right now. You notice the last couple of weeks I've been bringing it out about sisters, understand where you are. It's time to come under protection. Amalek have systematically socialized you and used you against us, knowing that at the end time you would have no protection. You will be out there by yourself. And the first line of attacks will be against women, children, and elderly. Here we are. Women, children, and who? You got it. Elderly. That's where the attacks will go first, because Amalek has always used these same tactics. Let's go in. Israelites, Amalek's attack against Israelites. You notice at the end of 2019, there was a run up through media demonizing Israelites. Mm-hmm. Saying that an Israelite, even though there was no connection anywhere with any Israelite people who have ever gotten together to corroborate these particular media stories of some Israelite going into a synagogue doing something that cannot be corroborated by anyone who got together as Israelites. Saying that somebody came in a market and then loosely they were connected to some Israelites in New York. And guess what? The story came and went away and could not get corroborated. Was never corroborated. Right? So they started demonizing the awakening, even up until this time where it's almost criminal for a black person or a person of color to stake claim to being an Israelite. Okay? So they're demonizing those who are coming back to their truth. That in fact that we are the people of the Bible. That's my prelogue. Let's go in. Elder Lawya, we have it marked in the Jewish Encyclopedia. Matter of fact, let's get another Jewish Encyclopedia because I think the page fell off of this one. What happened to this?
Yes, just strap us here.
All right. Oh my goodness.
That's how old it is.
This is how old these books are. I have to tape this up. Jewish Encyclopedia, folks. All right. And we're going to see what they say within the Jewish religion. We're going to give you some background on who they say Amalek is. So that now you can now identify the attributes of the unseen hand. Okay? It's time for us to end this crap about talking about white supremacy, which is ambiguous. Even though there is white supremacy, they'll allow you to say that because it's ambiguous. Mm-hmm. It doesn't identify the trait according to God that we must identify, or the people we must identify. The enemies against Israelites. So they'll let you say white supremacy because that's ambiguous. We need to highlight Amalek because Amalek is the head of the nations. He's in control. Get Amalek out of the Jewish Encyclopedia, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir. Just to highlight it?
Yeah, it's just the highlighted parts.
Yes, sir. Amalek. The defeat and capture of the Amalekite king Agag, the only Amalekites name preserved by Saul, seem to be referred to also by Balaam. It is not known what locality is meant by the city of Amalek, which evidently was situated in the valley, that is, in the plain.
Now when you read about the Amalekites, the Most High God told the prophet Samuel, to give a decree to Saul the king, the first king of Israel before David was set up, to do away with Amalek the king. Why? Because Amalek had a continual campaign to avenge his father. To avenge his father, and by avenging his father, that means to destroy the children of Israel and eradicate them out of the earth. That was Amalek's plan. So our God said, listen, make sure you take care of this king. Get rid of this king. Now, Saul, being disobedient, disobeyed the Most High, kept Amalek alive to a degree where some of his sons escaped eventually, even though Samuel ended up killing Agag. Some of his children escaped. They're in power today, and I'm going to prove it. And this information isn't secret, folks. We're gonna chronologize this through the Jewish Encyclopedia today to know who exactly is Amalek. The enemies of God, the enemies of Israelites. And this is why they're trying to do everything they can to demonize Israelites. Because we know now, the man of sin will be revealed today on this Sabbath. What page you at on the other side, Elder Lawya?
Yes, sir. Page number 483.
Come on.
In rabbinic literature, Amalek, the first foe to attack the people of Israel.
It says in rabbinical literature, Amalek was our first foe to attack the children of Israel. Read.
After they had come out of Egypt.
After we came out of Egypt. So when you read the stories, I'm going to go there in the Bible, folks. This is chronologized. That Amalek began to attack us on the way into receiving the promised land. But not just attack us, because they were smart enough not to engage the men at the beginning of our camp or at the height or of our power in our camps. They made sure to go in the back and destroy the elderly, the women, and the children. So usually when they attack, they don't attack us frontal. They attack us without us knowing we're being attacked. So that's a tactic Amalek has used since the beginning and is still using till this day. Read it, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir. It says Amalek is the first foe to attack or to attack the children of Israel when they came out of Egypt as a free nation, twice designated in the Pentateuch as the one against whom war should be waged until the memory be blotted out forever.
Until its memory be blotted out forever.
Became in rabbinical literature the type of Israel's arch enemy. In the Tanaic Haggadah of the 1st century, Amalek stands for Rome. And
hold up, Amalek stands for who?
Amalek stands for Rome.
Now make sure you write that down. In the Jewish Encyclopedia, it tells us Amalek stands for Rome. Now, I didn't make that up. So the Roman Catholic Church and those that are behind what you see in the earth today are from the families of Amalek. Christ identified them. When the disciples ask in Matthew 24, when shall the end be and the sign of thine coming? And Christ warned us about them, saying, first take heed, let no man deceive you. Many shall come in my name and say, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. What was Christ showing the disciples? That right after I die and you lose Jerusalem by the Romans, they're going to come in and use my name and set up a Babylonian religion, and through this, destroy the children of the kingdom. They're coming after you after that. Christ was identifying Amalek right there in Matthew 24. They're the Romans. And I know some of you were deceived in America to believe that the Europeans are Japheth. They'll let you can put that in the same trash bin as white supremacy. It's too ambiguous. When there's no place in the earth that says that Japheth is going to rule Israel in the last days. Okay? That's something, another fable that was created by them. And we're going to show you how Esau, Amalek, got into Rome. We're going to emphasize that today. So Amalek, according to the Jewish Encyclopedia, are Romans. Right? Now, last week I went into the battle between Jacob and Esau. Let's go to Genesis 36, Elder Lawya.
Now there's more here.
No, yeah, get everything, read everything you have there,
Yes,
and
sir.
then we'll go.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
It says here, in the Tannaitic Haggadah of the 1st century, Amalek stands for Rome, and so does Edom.
Amalek stands for Rome, and so does Edom. In the Bible. Last week you've learned Esau was upset because after he sold his birthright, he lost the blessing. Okay? So now by default, eventually when Christ brings the kingdom, he will bring the kingdom for our people who are scattered under a curse. That will be the end of Esau's empire, Amalek's empire. And that's why all of these empires have serious vitriol and hatred against Jacob, who we are. That's why they'll set up the news and claim that an Israelite did this and an Israelite did that. And now they just staged the whole thing where they're saying Israelites are coming in to engage or go against synagogues and all that. So right there, they were doing a public front showing, well, okay, this is who we are waging war against through their media first. And then after that, 2019 rolls around, the ball drops. After Kendrick Lamar and all of them for the last year or so been saying that we're the true children of Israel and it can no longer be hid. Now 2019 comes and go. And now all of a sudden, the year after they demonize Israelites, they're shutting everything down. Attacking all black communities, saying that these are the communities that need to be vaccinated first, who need to be targeted first. You got to watch how Amalek worked, his cunning, crafty, evil. And he'll frame it in a way in which it sounds like it's something, it's advantageous for them to do something. But when you pull the layers back, folks, it's evil. It's maniacal. Then they'll say on the news, well, don't worry about it. Well, then they'll put out questions like this. Which group should we test first? After already subconsciously programming people in the world to believe that the biggest issues are amongst black people. That's an Amalek tactic. So now that we're revealing who Amalek is, now they started off with psychological warfare, their media, so that they can now end up coming full circle against who? Their enemy, according to the Bible. They believe that we are their enemy, and we became their enemy when we took, as they claim, the birthright and the blessed. Okay? Finish reading, Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir. A kinsman of the Israelites,
A kinsman of the Israelites,
Amalek nevertheless displayed the most intense hatred towards them. He inherited Esau's hostility to his brother Jacob.
He inherited Esau's hostility to his brother Jacob. Go on.
When other nations hesitated to harm God's chosen ones, his evil example induced them to join him in the fray. Like a robber, he waylaid Israel, like a swarm of locusts, like a leech eager for blood.
Like a leech eager for blood. Now check out how in a Jewish encyclopedia they identify Amalek as a leech. A leech will latch on to you and suck you dry. They'll become one with you to make you believe it's, here it is, they'll just they're sucking all the life source out of you. So they'll latch to you. Now the leech has no qualities of any benefit in itself. Its benefits come from not what it has, but how it can attach itself to something else and benefit. Huh? You want to talk about that? They'll leech on to a talent and suck it dry. And here it is, the talent won't have anything left to give an inheritance to his children or to her children, because the leech done sucked all of the life source out of it, leave you to dry, throw you in jail or kill you or something, and then go to latch on to some other person. Must I go down the line? Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, R. Kelly. On and on and on. Sam Cooke, James Brown. Must I say more? So Amalek, according to the Jewish encyclopedia, is a leech, a blood-sucking leech, a vampire. Come on.
According to some, he also used witchcraft to secure victory for his men.
So he used witchcraft to secure victory for his men. Read.
Moreover, he mutilated their bodies, making sport of the Abrahamic covenant.
And he mutilated their body. Now, what people are behind the Frankenstein surgeries today of mutilation? Oh, you want to become a man? Oh, you want to become a woman? Mutilation and all that. Frankenstein medicine are all what you would call the traits of Amalek. Now, the witchcraft, you have to realize the witchcraft of Esau is his power through incantation. Okay? What is incantation? Because don't forget, Christ himself called them the synagogue of Satan. They're top sorcerers. Amalek is the top sorcerer on earth. To use media to make you believe there's something outside when it isn't is high magic. Magic is not, you think of hocus pocus and pulling a rabbit out of the hat. No. It's to make you believe. It's selling you an alternate reality that you must live in. Even though your inward thoughts and common sense is fighting against it. You realize, well, this isn't what they're saying it is, but I'm going to go along with it. Top magic. Now, Esau has power through incantation. Amalek. Now, in incantation, what Esau does is, and this is why he set up the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah, because they worship many gods, the Kabbalah, they were able to now use good and evil and understand, okay, who are all the gods starting from the top God in heaven who made all? And what they was able to say is, well, okay, Since we understand who all the gods are, we will insulate that power for ourselves and use the God, which is Satan, as the key God to teach the world. To have the world understand God, we're going to teach them from one of the lowest levels in the Kabbalah and present our God, Satan, as the God. And any other God they serve under our God automatically give us by default power over the nations. If an Ishmaelite serves Allah, well, Allah is a lower God. Our God takes precedent. We have power over Ishmael. If the East Indians serve another God lower than the God we serve on the Kabbalah, by default, we become the first over them, the top sorceress, and they must pay homage to us. That's how it works. Well, guess what God is above all gods that they know? Ahia. And has purposely concealed that name from the world because they know that God is our God. And what they did was they exposed the earth to the Tetragrammaton, which has always been, even in ancient times before they came on the scene, the fourth God in what they call incantation. Yahweh, the four-letter God, was revealed to the world after Jerusalem was destroyed. Before then, our people knew the name of God. It was revealed to Moses. The only time that our people through archaeology or antiquity followed Yahweh was when we became disobedient and sacrificed to Baal. So you will find history of us with the Tetragrammaton, but that's why the Most High destroyed us. The Tetragrammaton is the four-letter name of God, and let's now refer back now to the Jewish Encyclopedia. Elder Lawya in the Jewish Encyclopedia, because if we're going to reveal Amalek, we must reveal the God that they worship, that they gave to you. Okay? It's in there. It's in here. Let's get the Tetragrammaton, Elder Lawya. Incantation, read that.
Yes, sir. Incantation, page 586.
Come on.
The invocation of magical powers.
The invocation of magical powers.
All people, civilized as well as savage, have believed and still believe in magical influences and effects.
Come on.
Jumping over. During the Hellenistic period of Jewish history.
During the Hellenistic period of Jewish history,
Hebrew incantations were used among both the Jews and the pagans.
Hebrew incantations were used where?
Among both the Jews.
Amongst the Jews.
And the pagans.
And the pagans.
As appears from the magical papyri published by Wesley. The Tetragrammaton and the divine names Eloah and Adonai were most frequently used.
What was more frequently used in Jewish magic? Read it again.
The Tetragrammaton and the divine names Eloah and Adonai were most frequently used.
Was most frequently used for their witchcraft over the earth. That's Satan, folks. The Tetragrammaton is Satan. Huh? And it even tell you in the book that they purposely made you believe that Ahia and Yahweh or Jehovah means the same and is the same God. It's in their books. So we cannot identify, we will not identify Amalek without exposing their God. That's what Paul was talking about in Thessalonians. That the son of perdition, that man of sin must be revealed. You must understand the power they have by you acknowledging the God they gave you as your God. Automatically, I don't care if you're an Israelite and you claim you hate Esau and you ain't down with the white man. If you're dealing with the Tetragrammaton, Esau still has power over you. Now, the Bible. Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to Genesis 36 and identify Amalek real quick out of the Bible.
Yes, sir. Genesis chapter 36, verse number 8.
Go ahead.
Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom.
Esau is Edom. In the Jewish Encyclopedia, Edom is identified as who? Rome. Who gives Rome their power? Hold that, Elder Lawya, and let's go to Revelation. Let's see who gives Rome their power.
Revelation chapter 13, verse number 1.
Now, speaking of this, and I'm glad it just came to my mind because I said before the academy today, before the class today, even though this seems like an academy class, that what I'm going to do with the 4 beasts of Daniel this time is fuse 2 lessons. The 4 beasts of Daniel's and the secrets of the times. Okay? All in one, breaking down the Jubilees from the time that Rome ruled up into our time. Okay? And there's not much time left. I'm going to be breaking that down in the academy, the 4 beasts of Daniel and the secrets of the time under one lesson. Okay? But now, in identifying that, why I say that? Because we must go into where it was prophesied in our book when Esau would actually gain power. He would be in full power to execute his Amalek vitriol and hatred against his brother Jacob, who we are. Well, in the book of Revelation, it says what God would give him that power. Let's read.
Revelation 13, verse 1. And I stood up upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea.
Let's get closer. They say, yeah, go,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go on.
Having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
Read that again.
Revelation 13, verse 1. And I stood up upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea.
Now, this is the 4th beast of Daniel. Read.
Having 7 heads and 10 horns.
The 7 heads represents the 7 mountains which Rome sits on, the 7 hills of Rome. Read.
And upon his horns 10 crowns.
And upon his horn is 10 crowns, which are who? The 10 countries of the original EU. All European countries today. The EU of the world. Read. Of Europe. Read.
And upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
And upon his head blasphemy. Blasphemy are lies. So the lies would come from the Roman Empire, the people of the beast. Read.
Verse 2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear.
So it would have what? The leopard represents Alexander the Greek. It would have the same ingenuity and military might as well as the religion of the Greeks. And it said it stood on its feet as the bear. It would also have the bear, which is who? The Persian Medo Empire. It would actually have some of their power within it. All the power of the nations that were taken down beforehand, will now be consolidated into this one beast who would control them all up until the time of Christ's return. Read.
And his mouth as the mouth of a lion.
And the mouth of the lion is who? The lion represents Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon. The lion body with the head of Nebuchadnezzar It would have the religion of ancient Babylon. It would have the military might of Greece and the takedown of Greece. It would have the power of the Persians and the Medo Empire. And it would have the religion of ancient Babylon. What is that? The Roman Catholic Church consolidated all of that. Esau, Edom. Read.
And the dragon gave him his power.
Who gave Esau his power?
And the dragon gave him his power.
Satan gave Esau his power. When Esau lost the birthright, when Esau lost the blessing, he turned to the god of the Canaanite, Satan. He turned to Satan in Mount Seir, Genesis 36. Read.
And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
And great authority. He was not set up by our God. He was set up by Satan to do Satan's will on earth. And Satan's will is to destroy all of mankind on this earth and get back into the heavenly realm. Now I need you to look at your screen. When Esau went into, I'm going to get this in a second, 1 second. When Esau went into Canaan or Mount Seir, he ran into Canaanites or Hittites. Folks, in your Jewish encyclopedia, here's a picture of the Hittites. Now, here's a picture of the Hittites. They are not black. They are not Africans, folks. These were the women Esau was laying with to bring forth children. See that? Now, I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you can see that a lot of their physical features till this day are seen in a particular race of people on earth. And this is why they determine their race through their mother. See? This is in the Jewish encyclopedia. See? They know who they are. This is why they determine their race or nationality through their mothers, because they give more credence to the Canaanite side than the Abrahamic side. This is why they need plastic surgery and all these others, because this is how the original Hittites looked. Look at their ears, look at their noses, look at their facial features, and you'll understand what family mixed with them. Amalek. Amalek mixed with them. Esau mixed with them initially. And the Amalekites came out part Hebrew from Abraham's side and part Nephilim from the Canaanite side. Okay? Now, I'm just getting information out of the Jewish encyclopedia. Right? Now, point out Amalek real quick.
Yes, sir. Verse number 12.
Read.
And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek.
And she bare to Eliphaz, who?
Amalek.
Amalek. Right? Now, who was Amalek? In the Jewish encyclopedia, we read it earlier. Amalek is Rome. We read it in the Jewish encyclopedia. So if you came in late, when you rewatch this, you'll see clearly in the Jewish encyclopedia, it tells us Amalek are the Romans. Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
Now let's go into some of the attributes of Amalek and how we can relate him to Bill Gates and others today. Amalek tactics. Let's go to Exodus 17. Oh yeah, what page was that of the Amalek that you just read in the Jewish encyclopedia?
Amalek or incantation.
Let's get let's get incantation first. What page is incantation, the tetragrammaton, which is Satan? Yahweh is Satan, folks.
568.
568 is the incantation of Yahweh or Yahweh that a lot of Israelites are calling, not realizing every time you call that name, you're actually subjugating yourself to the Amalek powers. They have more power over you because they know the names of God in incantation that's over the God you're calling on. Okay? Now, let's go into the Bible and break it down now. Let's go to some of the attributes, some of the things that you can. Now, I won't call it attributes. How deceptively evil they are. Some of the tactics of Amalek. Our God is warning you. He's giving you some insight on your enemy in the earth. Let's read Exodus 17 and 8. Let's read it.
Exodus chapter 17, verse 8.
Yeah.
Then came Amalek and fought with Israel in Rephidim. And Moses called unto Joshua, or said unto Joshua, choose us out men and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in mine hand. So Joshua did as Moses had said to him and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. And it came to pass when Moses held up his hand that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed.
Now, why, you may ask, why is Amalek, our brother, fighting against us in the wilderness after being freed from the land of Egypt? Why is Amalek coming against us? You know why? Because we are about to take the land of Canaan, where the God of Esau, the God of Amalek, owns. That's his territory right now. From Mount Seir all the way to the land of Canaan was ruled by Yahweh, the God of the Shashu. Shashu in the Egyptian language, in the Egyptian languages, is Edom. So Amalek is coming out to fight against us, to stop us from getting the promised land. Why? Because Amalek believed that land will one day belong to him. Now, it wasn't until our modern times, our present time, that Amalek was able to deceive the nations and actually take that land. But this is why, even us, when we came out of Egypt, folks, this is why you read in the Old Testament Amalek fighting against us. Because his God, Satan, was ruling the land of Canaan. There were Hittites, Girgashites, Amorites, and even parts of Edomites was all amongst them in the land of Canaan. So now they're coming out as an infantry to try to stop us from getting the land. Satan's people. Read.
Verse number 12. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on the one side and the other on the other side.
Let's go straight to it because there's things I want to get. Let's go straight to it. I need you to go straight to, write this, go to the 14th verse and read the 14th one now.
Yes, sir. Verse 14. And the Lord said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua. For I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven.
Our God, Ahiah, said, I will put out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. I'm going to take them all out. See, and this is why Amalek is against our God and the anointed Son, Christ, who was prophesied to take down them and their God. See? Read.
Verse 15. And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Ahiah, for he said, because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation.
From generation to generation. Now go to Deuteronomy 25 and 19. Let's read it.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy 25, I'll start in verse 17.
Yep.
Deuteronomy 25, verse 17. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way.
And then God told Moses and the Israelites, and we warned our people, remember what Amalek did by the way, read.
When you were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way, and smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee.
So Amalek usually in war attacked the feeble first. The elderly. Okay. The elderly, the children, the women, the less astute of the people. He usually target the weak first. And that's what we're seeing right now on a global scale. The people that are volunteering themselves up for tests. The people that are, nothing is wrong with them, but they're going into these places, being put on ventilators, getting their organs taken from them. The social programs in the neighborhoods who have now separated families and all that, and women have no protection. Now the hospitals and doctors and all that are preying on these women, telling them to come on in. Their children come on in. In all warfare, Amalek targets the feeble or the weak first. He did this when we were coming out of Egypt. He didn't come to try to confront the men head on. No, what he'd do is use trickery. He'll use the media and say, well, look at these Israelites. They are this and they're that and they're negative. So that other people will actually stand and fight in their place. So that they can get the public relations on their side against the people. So that now, by doing so, it totally deflects what they're doing. They're deflecting it off themselves, and then they're pointing the Israelites as the enemy, or they'll create an enemy and engage them through trickery. So this is what they did, folks, coming out of Egypt. They did what? Read it again, Elder Lawyer.
It says, remember what Amalek did to thee by the way, when you were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way, and smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary.
When we were tired.
And he feared not the Most High.
Now, the same way, and he feared not God because he's a Satanist. Same thing that's going on today. We as a people are at our most vulnerable state as a people, and Amalek know it. The only help now is for us to come back to the Most High. He see us leaving these Christian churches that are controlled by them. He see our people waking up and saying, well, listen, the system can't help us because what? Unless you're going to now give us what we supposed to have and solely for us, we don't want to hear anything about your handouts anymore. They see God moving us from their socialized control over us. They see that. So now they're beginning to attack the feeble. Tell your mama to come in, and that now your mom is on a ventilator, and you sit there scratching your head saying, well, and then you confused because she was fine just a week ago, and now you've been tricked into having them put your mother and your father down like a dog, only so you can brag around amongst the hood or amongst your community to have your own COVID story. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's real. COVID is real, man. It took my mama, took my daddy. And they just sitting back somewhere laughing. Because while you're focused on that, they're planning more and more and more against you, like Esau, like Amalek. He doesn't stop. Now you're towing his line. You're spreading his sorcery. So now it's them. They don't have to lie. They began to lie. It's you carrying the lie, carrying the water. This is how they work. Witchcraft, sorcery, sleight of hand, using you to do their will. See? This is how Amalek works. He'll sit back as the puppet master. and watch it play out. Just watch it play out. That's what Amalek does. He's not going to confront you face to face. He's a weasel. He's a liar. He's a snake. What he'll do is he'll use his finances and hire some people against you. Military, mercenaries, and all that. And then after that, he'll kill them. That's how it works. Okay. Finish reading.
Verse 19. Therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God hath given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget it.
Thou shalt not forget it. Thou shalt not forget it. Now, during the Hyksos period, when we ruled Egypt, under Joseph, our father Jacob, when we came into Egypt, you can read that in Exodus, the first chapter, Genesis 47 through 49. You can read these chapters where our people began to become the superpowers over Egypt. We were the brains of Egypt that made Egypt great. Okay? Today in Greek history and what you would call Mesopotamia history, they purposely hide the name Israel. The names we were under during that time, they called us Asiatics, or they would call us Hebrews, or a better name that you can find in history, Hyksos. About around the 17th century BC, we started ruling Egypt. Only a small family, only Jacob and the 70 souls, along with Joseph, who was already there, came into Egypt. While we were there, Esau had a grandson by the name of Zepho. Zepho would begin to war against us. This is more of Esau and Amalek's attacks against the children of Israel. Now, back then, at that time, there was no such people as Israelites, folks. There was no such people as Israelites because we didn't become an Israelite nation until we left under Moses, some 215 years later from the time that Joseph went into Egypt. Okay, so we left like 4 generations after that. And then we became Israelites. So don't let nobody tell you, well, there's no proof of Israelites ever being in Egypt. We don't have the history of Israelites. That's garbage because Israelites didn't become a nation until after we left Egypt. But there is proof of Shemitic existence throughout Egypt. Asiatic existence throughout Egypt, which later Manethos, an Egyptian historian, named us the Hyksos, the shepherd kings. Because we were shepherds. Don't forget Jacob. He was able to get all the flock and sheep and all that from Laban, his father-in-law. So we were known as being shepherds, but also kings, shepherd kings. Why? Because Joseph was set up as royalty in Egypt for saving Egypt from a 7-year famine. So when we came in, we became the kingship, the authority of Egypt under the Hyksos period. Listen to me clearly. So that's why you can't find Israelites in ancient Egypt that says Israelites. We weren't Israelites. Okay? We were the Shemitic children of Jacob living in the land, ruling the land. Okay? Now, while we were there, and why I had to frame that, while we were there, folks, Esau's grandson Zepho came in to try to attack us. We're going to show you where Zepho went. We're going to show you where Zepho went. First, get Genesis 36 and pull out Zepho in Genesis 36 verse. Because we tired of all this. It's time to actually consolidate this information so that our brothers, even if there's Israelites out there who don't ascribe to what we teach and all that, follow the clues and teach it. You don't have to say you got it from us. We have to stop carrying Amalek's water. You must reveal him at the very end. Whether you agree with the Gathering of Christ Church or not, we're going to use their records. Do your research. Follow the clues. No longer out there claiming that the European Romans and all that are Japheth. Throw that crap away. That's a lie. You are helping Amalek sustain his power over us by lying through omission. That's what you're doing. Okay? Let's get Zepho. Read it, Elder Lawya.
Genesis 36, verse number 10 through 11. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau; Reuel, the son of Bashemoth, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, and Gatam, and Kenaz.
Now let's talk about Zepho real quick, because Zepho used finance as being this cunning hunter. He was a cunning hunter to actually do what? Pay mercenaries to continually war against us while we were in Egypt. This is Esau's son. He was relentless against us. Okay? Let's go into the book of Jasher real quick. Now, for those who don't believe in the book of Jasher, that's your problem. But this is what the Bible says concerning Jasher. Let's read it real quick. Let's read it real quick. Wisdom is known of her children. So if you have somebody out there saying that Jasher isn't spiritually inspired, it's not right, you're dealing with a low-level biblical, a low-level Bible reader. That's who you're dealing with there. Okay? What's going on there is that what they're reading in Jasher is conflicting with their doctrine. That's all. So instead of them admitting that they were taught lies, they'd rather say that the book of Jasher is incorrect. But that's their problem, like I said earlier. Wisdom is known of her children. This is why we read the book of Jasher. Read it real quick, Elder Lawya. Let's read it.
Joshua 10, verse 13. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher?
In the book of what?
Is not this written in the book of Jasher?
So you discredit yourself by claiming that the book of Jasher is incorrect. You've discredited yourself. Because how can you now convince people to believe in the Bible when they read the book of Jasher in the Bible and says book of Jasher, and in that same Bible you said that they must believe in, you claim isn't a valid book? See? So to a learned person, they're going to look at you and be like, why should I believe anything you say? If the Bible referred to the book of Jasher before your behind was born, who are you to come and say that it isn't valid? And why should I believe anything in the Bible now that you tell me that the book of Jasher isn't correct when the Bible refers to it? See? Now, the book of Jasher, for those who don't know, is Jasher wasn't a man. I know it sounds like a person. It's the book of the upright ones. There was a record from before the flood. It's almost like a diary that all of the elect, the righteous, left. And before they died, when they gave their last testimony to their sons, they would give the record to their son. Enoch, Methuselah, all the way down to Noah. Noah had a record, and now when it was given to him, he had to begin to chronologize his life so that he can hand that to Shem. Shem would hand it to Abraham. On and on and on and on and on and on. That's how it went. Up until the time of Moses. It's that simple. Okay? It's just the book of the upright ones. Read it again.
Joshua chapter 10, verse number 13. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jasher?
Is not this written in the book of Jasher? Now, in the book of Joshua and in the book of Samuel, it tells us the book of Jasher. And the Bible says, before two or more witnesses, let all things be established. So if Samuel is talking about this and Joshua is talking about this, the book is valid. And this is why Amalek don't want you to know about this book, because it identifies when Amalek began to do what? Travel into different areas to set up strongholds to rule from. He would go into the land of Japheth and rule there. And you would believe through history, oh, those were Japhetic people. No, they weren't Japhetic people. They were Edomites hiding amongst the nations they conquered. Okay, that's how Esau rolls. It's like he'll come over to America, and the next thing you know, he'll destroy the North American Indians, and then he'll be over in 2019, 2020. He'll be given powwows where all the North American Indians can come together and do some dances around the totem pole. And they'll be sitting there with paint on them and all that, with feathers, while talking about they're Gadites. That's what they do. They're chameleons. So you have to watch them, because really everything they do is with an objective. It has nothing to do with being solid with you or respecting your culture. No. Bow, wow, wow. I'm North American Indians because I'm indigenous. And I'm going to get that indigenous money and property. Wink, 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 wink. That's how Amalek do it. And as soon as he cut the check, he go in the house and throw that crap off and take a shower and go skiing with his family. Like, listen, I'm only Indian during the day, okay? Around you folk. That's how Amalek roll. They'll sit there and take everything from you, claim to be you, and then if you start saying, well, hold up, let me do some research. They're like, no, you black American. That's what you are. You ain't no Indian. Get out of here. You black. Go ahead over there somewhere. Get with the rest of the black lost people and try to figure out, what did God intend for black people? Okay, there's nothing in the Bible that tell you that black people get something. So you North American Indians, don't worry about that. You Negro too. Get over there with the black lost people. Okay, that's what you do. There's nothing empowering by saying I'm black. What's empowering about that? There's no inheritance for black people in the Bible, folks. That's why they allow you to hold that as some type of banner to be proud of. Black means lost, destitute, without hope. There's no nation of blacks that's going to receive anything. We're Israelites. Now let's go.
This is the book of Jasher, chapter 61, verse number 12. And when Zepho saw the son of Eliphaz, or when Zepho the son of Eliphaz...
Hold up, let me put the book of Jasher up there with that. I put the book of Jasher on the screen for you. What chapter are you at?
Chapter 61, verse 12.
61, verse 12. Book of Jasher. Let's read it.
Jasher 61, verse 12. And when Zepho the son of Eliphaz saw that Angeas, the spirit of going forth to battle with the Egyptians, Zepho fled from Angeas, from Africa, and he went and came unto Kittim.
And he came into Kittim. Kittim is Cyprus. Kittim is Cyprus. Okay. That's an island between Europe. It's an Eastern Europe island between Europe and the East. It borders, it's 75 miles from Syria, but it's an island in between the eastern country where Israel and Syria is, and on the other side, it begins Eastern Europe. So this is Esau going into Eastern Europe. This is not a Japhite here. Come on, finish reading, Elder Lawya.
Verse 13, and all the people of Kittim received him with great honor, and they hired him to fight their battles all the days, And Zepho became exceedingly rich in those days.
He became rich. This is Esau now. Read.
And the troops of the king of Africa still spread themselves in those days. And the children of Kittim assembled and went to Mount Cuphizia on account of the troops of Angeas, king of Africa, who were advancing upon them. And it was one day that Zepho lost a young heifer, and he went to seek it, and he heard it lowing round about the mountain. And Zepho went, and he saw, and behold, there a large cave at the bottom of the mountain, and there was a great stone at the entrance of the cave. And Zepho split the stone, and he came into the cave, and he looked, and behold, a large animal was devouring the ox. From the middle upward, it resembled a man.
It resembled a man from the middle up.
And from the middle downward, it resembled an animal.
And it was an animal, a satire he's seen. Okay, this is what's really going on the outside of these cities, folks. Nephilim, part people, part animal. Okay, all of what he's seen is actually worship, folks. Amongst these secret witch and sorcerer circles. I just want to highlight that those things are real. Go straight to where Zepho ended up going into Rome, what we call Rome. Let's go. Yes, down the line. Let me get it here. Hold on. Right here. We're get it right here for them. Right here. Let's go down to the 25th verse. The 25th verse. We're at Jasher 61 down to, and I have it in front of you so that you can follow us yourself. Where are we, Elder Lawya?
61:25.
And 25. Zepho. Let's read it.
This is the book of Jasher 61 and 25.
Hold on. All right, let's read it, Elder Lawya.
It says, and their king Zepho went at their head and made war with Tubal and the islands. And they subdued them. And when they returned from the battle, they renewed his government for him. And they built for him a very large palace for his royal habitation and seat. And they made him a large throne, or they made a large throne for him. And Zepho reigned over the whole land of Kittim and over the land of Iltalia.
Over the land of what?
Over the land of Kittim and over the land of Iltalia.
What verse you at there?
25.
25. And it came to pass in the 91st year of the Israelites going down to Egypt. This is giving us chronology here, a time period. From the time that Joseph, all of us went to Egypt. It says Zepho, the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, over the children of Kittim. The children of Africa came upon the children of Kittim to plunder them as usual. Right? Let's get where it says Atalia at. Where you at?
61:25.
61 and 25. One moment. You sure? Mm-hmm. And King Zepho went. Is down here. Right here. And King Zepho went at their head, and they made war with Tubal in the islands. And they subdued them. When they returned from the battle, they renewed the government for him. Go ahead, Elder Lawya.
It says here, they renewed the government for him, and they built for him a very large palace for his royal habitation and seat, and they made a throne for him. And Zepho reigned over the whole land of Kittim and over the land of Iltalia.
Over the land of what?
Iltalia.
Over the land of Italy. Let me blow it up here. over the land of Italy. Zepho began to rule, brothers and sisters, over Italy. Italia. See that? That's in the book of Jasher, the original Hebrew. Translated out of the original tongues when you look at the book of Jasher, identifying where our brothers fled and began to rule. See that? Zepho reigned over the whole land of who? Of Italy. Of Italy. Of Italy. The Roman sorceress. Satan would set up his sorceress in Italy. Rome. Amalek. Esau. Got it? You got it. Okay, 1 hour? Okay, that's good. We're at the 1 hour mark. Hold tight. Like I said, we're doing 2 hours a day. Hold tight. Amalek attack against Israelites. We'll be right back. Mm-hmm. Hey, Bo. Get it? Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra-biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you the Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited. Yes, the Hebrew and Bible Academy, you are invited. For those who've just come in, yes, we are about to go into part 2. Amalek attack against the children of Israel. You must identify the enemy to figure out what's really going on in the earth, okay? The attack right now under so-called COVID has nothing to do with a disease. It's an attack Esau, Amalek attacking Jacob all throughout the earth. That's what's going on. Leading to a mark of the beast system. And this is the political construct they're using to engage God's people in the last days. So you must understand the enemy. He attacked who? The women, the feeble, the less astute. He attacks them first before coming against the men. That's his tactic. Divide and conquer. Go ahead and Lawya. You got something. All right. What else? You had something else, Elder?
No,
you're right.
Not this point. We just.
All right. Yeah. Just expounded on something. All right. Good. All right. That's enough of Jasher. Let's jump on in now. Since we already know that now the 7 heads and 10 horns are Rome. That Rome is Amalek or Esau and Esau. Also, we've proved that Zepho went into Italy some 1700 years before Christ was on the scene, giving them enough time and steam to build themselves as a superpower in Rome by the time Christ would be born, the savior of our people. This is why Herod the Greek, who they call Herod the Great, wanted to kill the child, kill the baby, because this baby was prophesied to give the promise and the blessings and the birthright, territory, and rulership to our people. Okay? This was before the quote-unquote eugenics period, okay, that we have in our present time. One moment. I got something going on in the background here.
Right.
Okay, one moment. Okay. Sorry about that. Jumping right in now. Okay. Now we understand Amalek is a little sneaky little deceiver using witchcraft. He worships Yahweh. He's against God's people. We've identified him going into Italy, right? Now, I need you to get out of those books real quick. Your rock. I need you to get Khazar. I need you to get Khazar out of the Jewish encyclopedias, as well as Khazar and Basilians. Basileans. Get Khazars out of one book and get Basilians out of the other book for me, okay? All right. I need you to get Psalms 83, Elder Lawya, if you may. It might be marked. Get Khazars and Basilians. I need you to get Psalms 83, Elder Lawya, and also I need you to get Revelation 12 for me. All right? Let me know when you have it, all right?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. You have it? Just mark that for me.
You mentioned Basilians right here.
Yeah, Basilians, you got it. Yeah. All right. Now, I'm in the Jewish Encyclopedia real quick, right? And I have on page 1 of the Jewish encyclopedias within the C's and the D's. And you can see it says Khazars and Dreyfus. Okay? Khazars and Dreyfus. Because, see, they try to throw you off with claiming there's a lot of different false claims of them being in Khazaria, converting into what we call Judaism today. A lot of false claims of how that went down. Well, believe it or not, they created some of those falsehoods to throw you off the trail too. To make you believe that if they was in Khazar or different parts of Turkey or Khazaria, then they must have been Japhites or from Japheth, right? Now, Esau even became kings all that in that land. You would have thought that they were Japheth, but without tracking their bloodline, you wouldn't realize they were Esau, Zepho, and others who came into that land, all right, at one time, all right? But I'm going to give you some more information to show you how after we fell, Rome sent Edomites into Khazar out of their book. Let me read it. Khazar, a people of Turkish origin whose life and history are interwoven with the very beginnings of the history of the Jews of Russia. It says, historical evidence points to the region of the Ural as the house of the Khazars. Among the classical writers of the Middle Ages, They were known as Khazars, Khazars, Akazars, and Akatirs, and the Russian chronicles as the Qualisis and Yorgri Bayi. Now listen to this. The Armenian writers of the 5th and following centuries furnish ample information concerning the people. The Kargans was the king of the north. Sounds familiar? The ruler of the Khazars. And the queen was Shetun. History of Armenia. That's what you would call Eastern Europe. History of Armenia. The Khazars first came to Armenia with the Basilians in 198 AD. That's the 2nd century after we fell. The Khazars first came to Armenia with the Basilians. Now let's see who the Basilians are. Yeah, it says, yeah. Yeah. Basilians come directly from Saint Basil. Type in Saint Basil, folks, of the Roman Catholic Church. Okay? The Roman Catholic Church went into Khazaria and established what they call the serpent people. These were the Khazarians who converted into Judaism we see today between the 8th and the 11th century during the time of the Crusades. So while you're looking at the conversion of Khazars and saying, well, these were Japheth people who converted into Judaism, no, folks. These were Edomites sent by the Catholic Church playing on either side. And they only converted for political reasons. The whole thing was orchestrated by the Catholic Church. The whole thing. When you see what's going on in the Middle East today with those people that went into the land after World War I and World War II, they're no different than the people ruling in Rome right now. Two legs of the same beast. Revelation 12, Elder Lawya.
Revelation chapter 12, verse number 1.
Come on.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
Come on.
And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered.
Now the dragon that stood before the woman ready to be delivered was an Edomite by the name of Herod the Greek. The royal families of Europe, as well as those that are over in America, their bloodline links either to the Idumean families, that links directly to Herod, or they link to the families of Zepho in Italy. Okay? Read.
Verse number 4. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Come on.
And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron.
Exactly. So because the angel told Christ's mother and father, Joseph and Mary, to run into Egypt, to flee the sword of Herod, the Edomite, the Amalekite, Amalek. Read.
And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne.
That's Christ's resurrection. Read.
And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she have a place prepared of God.
That woman is Israel. We've ran into the wilderness after what? After the fall of our land, Jerusalem, 70 AD. We ran into different parts of Africa, and we ran into different parts of the earth, fleeing Roman persecution, fleeing the sword of Esau. Read.
That they should feed her there 1,260 days.
Come on.
Verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan.
That old serpent called the devil and Satan, who no longer had entry into the gates of heaven. Okay. After Christ's crucifixion, now Lucifer, the God that's being worshipped by the synagogue of Satan, has no more access to the heavenly throne. He cannot accuse us like he once did Job and the righteous in the Old Testament, where he would go before the throne of the Almighty and accuse and tempt God. After Christ's resurrection, after he shed his blood on Calvary, Satan had no more access. The gates, the doors of heaven are now closed to the powers that fell to this realm. Okay? So now Lucifer, the man, is worshipped in the earth and no longer have access to the heavenly realm now. He's angry. So what did he do? He began to give Esau, Amalek, the tools, the technology, the understanding, the wisdom of how to come against us. He can't destroy Christ because Christ got victory now. And it's only a matter of time. Now that Christ was crucified, Satan's time has begun to tick down now on earth. Okay? So since he have no recourse against the heavens, he's now setting up Amalek to come against us. That's what we're seeing right now in the earth. Read.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Come on.
And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength, and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his Christ, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down.
The accuser of our brethren are cast down. Read.
Which accused them before our God day and night.
That's Satan. Read.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death.
Exactly. And that's what's going on right now. We are holding to Christ's blood, his testimony, his sacrifice for us. And that's the strength through Christ's power that will bring the children of Israel through this trouble. Read.
Verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time.
He know that once Christ was crucified, that eventually his time will be at an end. He knew that it was just a matter of time before rulership, righteous rulership, would come to this realm. See? Satan began to panic, and the people who uphold and worship him are now panicking. It's time. Now you notice we're in Revelation 12. When you go to Revelation 13, it talks about the mark of the beast being revealed, the mark of the man. I went over it last week. I don't have to talk about it again. We're going to show you the man he would use and the mark of the man today. Exposing Amalek's tactics against the children of Israel. Read.
Verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child.
So when he could no longer go against Christ, he persecuted the woman who brought forth the man-child. The woman is Israel, our people that was scattered throughout the earth. The 12 tribes who are now being oppressed by the Roman Empire. There's a lie they teaching in the Christian church talking about the woman is the church. That's a straight lie. The woman is the children of Israel, physical people. Okay? Read.
Verse 14. And to the woman were given two wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she was nourished for a time and times and a half time from the face of the serpent.
That 1,203 score is not talking about what you think it's talking about. It's talking about, brothers and sisters, years of jubilees. Years of jubilees. All right. Finish reading.
Verse 15. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood.
So then Esau came up with a doctrine that would do what? Destroy the minds of the children of Israel scattered. Once Esau, Amalek, began to colonize, then he would do what? Re-educate us. The water, the flood, is the lies that came through Esau's education, his religious education and his academia education. These are lies. Okay, read.
Verse 15. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood.
The floods are what? The religions of the earth. That's why when they set up America, one of the first things they set up was what? Freedom of religion, to confuse the people who was without religion. Slaves. That's why they set up the freedom of religion. Because when Chinese people come over here, they already got a religion. There's no need for you to proselytize amongst Chinese people. They all are Buddhists. 99.9% of Chinese people in China are Buddhists. So they set up these religions to capture us, to confuse us. See? That was the flood that came from the woman. That came from the serpent. The serpent has a people, Amalek. Amalek set up institutions and allowed all the other nations to come through and rape and pillage us and destroy our minds so that we could never understand our true purpose as rulers, leaders, people of God, people of law. They started confusing us, throwing all this stuff at us, and they're working in the back the whole time. Amalek. Read.
Verse 16. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth.
Come on.
And the dragon.
And you know what? The Bible began to swallow up the lies when you read the true doctrine of the Bible. The Bible directed us to the other records that the Roman Catholic Church and Ishmael, the Arabs, began to hide over there in the east and in Egypt. Okay, it wasn't just Esau by himself. He worked with Ishmael. It was the Catholic Church that funded, that's right, the Muslim and Islamic churches and mosques. They funded them and aimed Islam and the Arabs against us. That was part of the flood. The flood wasn't just amongst Esau. Esau also was in tandem with Ishmael. And they both conspired against us. Okay? That's the lying Christianity and the lying Islam that I'm going into and going to rip apart tomorrow in the academy. Read on.
Verse 16. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which
Go ahead.
Which the dragon cast out of his mouth.
Come on.
And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God.
Which keeps the commandments of God.
And have the testimony of Yeshua the Anointed.
So what is our shield, our weapon, our hedge against Amalek? According to the Bible, we must keep the laws of God and have the testimony of Yeshua, whom this world ignorantly call Jesus. We have to do both. We have to keep the law and be covered through Christ. Be baptized. Confess our faults to the Most High. Be cleansed of sin and follow God's law going forward. Do what our forefathers fell off from doing under Christ, and that will begin to hedge us as a people. Okay? These are they that the enemy is fighting against. No sooner as our people everywhere started claiming we were Israelites, look what happened in the earth, folks. Esau's like, well, listen, we have to shut this whole thing down and do what? Fast track the system. Fast track the mark. So when they found us in the Americas, who found us in the Americas eventually? Another Amalek, Christopher Columbus. I went through this last week. Even before our people got here, there were the 10 tribes that were already in America, the North American Indians, the Taíno Indians, the Aztecs, the Mayans over there in Mexico and all that, the Colombians. All these were Israelites, folks. Give me that book real quick. I showed this in the academy last week. This book falling apart. The Lost Tribes in the Promised Land. Where this white guy said, well, listen, he proved in the book through historical records that the indigenous people of America were the 12 tribes of Israel. As a matter of fact, they lied and claimed that Christopher Columbus sailed the seas to find out whether or not the earth was round or flat. I mean, you know, someone is having a laugh with that garbage. Who's going to spend at this time what amounted to trillions of dollars to have someone sell a boat straight to see if it's going to fall off the end of the earth with your money? No. It tells us that in the diagnose and Christopher Columbus's own memoirs that he knew that the children of Israel was over here. And he this is what he used. He used the Bible and the Apocrypha to set the trail to find the lost tribes of Israel in the New World. Huh? And he was Amalek. Okay? He was Amalek. Read that real quick, Elder Lawya, about the diagnose.
Yes, sir.
What page are you at?
Page 77.
Yeah.
All his life, Columbus's ideas about geography were permeated with a peculiar religious mysticism.
Come on.
He kept a book of prophecies in which he collected quotations, mostly from the Bible.
Mostly from what?
Mostly from the Bible.
Come on.
Often those dealing with isles far off that seemed to prophesy his own discoveries. His personal copy, still in existence today, of Pierre Dialy's Imago Mundi, a copy or a kind of Christian Plinian synthesis of world geography, contains numerous notes handwritten in the margins that are of a similar religious import.
So we don't need it. I went over the whole thing in the academy. We're going to go through all that real quick because we have a lot to cover in a short amount of time. Mm-hmm. But here, the book is falling apart too. We have the records. It was a lie claiming that Christopher Columbus wanted to prove whether or not the world was round or flat and all this garbage. Nah. No. He used the Bible to find the lost tribes of Israel. He knew who we were. When the Romans came here, they knew we were Israel here. 2nd Ezra 13 and 39. Let's read it. They're liars. They're deceivers.
2nd Ezra 13, verse number 39.
Come on.
And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasseh the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters.
Over the waters.
And so they came into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arzareth.
And the same region is called Arzareth. Now you have other people who are saying, well, Arzareth isn't America. Arzareth means lost land. I need you to grab, hold up, here we go. Here we go. Giddy go. The Jewish Encyclopedia. Do the Jewish people know what where Azareth is? Let's see. Azareth. In your Jewish Encyclopedia, under the A's, page 160. Azareth. Listen to this here. There's so much. Azareth. The name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the law of Moses, until the time of the restoration, according to 2nd Esdras 13 and 45. Columbus identified America with this land. Jewish Encyclopedia. This Jewish Encyclopedia, folks, is from the late 1800s. It's from the late 1800s. The same time they had us picking cotton and trying to figure out what's going on, they knew that the people over here, including us, were Israelites. In your Jewish Encyclopedia, let me read this again on page 160. The name of the land beyond the great river, Azareth, from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses, until the time of the restoration, according to 2nd Esdras 13 and 45. We just read that. Columbus identified America with this land. See Kersling's Christopher Columbus, translated by Dr. C. Gross, page 15. So they got other historical references that goes into further detail that they knew that the Jewish man, Amalek, came over to the Americas and used the Bible to receive finances through royalty to find the 10 tribes here. Huh? Let's put that over there. Huh? Now we have more. Later on, they had to set up a system of socialism that would have it where they could actually sustain our families without what? The families having to depend on men in the home. Because all through slavery, we didn't know who we were as a people. Some of us didn't. But we did know who the enemy was. And that's what kept that's what kept our families tight. That's what kept our communities tight for the sake of self-preservation. Don't go over the tracks. Don't go this way. Don't go that way, because we know that these people over here aren't for our turn. So we begin to build a whole society within ourselves for the sake of self-preservation. Amalek was looking at that and say, well, how do we break this bond of these families? How do we break the bond? We must set up a socialistic system in which we provide the security. We become the dependent. We become the one whom the dependent must depend on. We must set up socialism and separate that woman from her man at the very end. We need banks. We need banks. Look at your screen. Check out your screen. Let me get him out of the way. And let's show you real quick. Now, give me the Rothschilds. Let's get the Rothschilds real quick. That's it. Now, this is in your Jewish Encyclopedia. This is not a conspiracy theory here. This is not... Show the book so that people can't think that we're trying to smear someone. This is their book. Right? I didn't make this up. On your screen, Nathan Mayer Rawchaa. It says here, there's a few things I want to go into here. In a nutshell, it breaks down how there was the dispersion of the brothers of the Rothschilds, in which under Nathan Mayer Rawchaa, they would need to put a Rothschild in position over every country controlled under Rome. It happened over in Europe first. Okay? We need to set up a bank system because this is the way eventually we're going to do what? Have the whole earth serve us through usury. If you need a house, you got to come to us. You need land, you got to come to us. You need education, you have to come to us. We'll give the loans, and by the loans, you will be forever in debt. In the Bible, a debtor or someone who owes debt is a servant, is a slave. See, that's why they had to kill that Christ, because Christ was about forgiving debts. Under the law, you cannot now charge interest on a loan, which means if I pay you back, I'm no longer indebted to you. They're like, no, not only will you be indebted to me, your children will be forever indebted to us. We are Amalek, and we're taking back our father's place, and you will serve us, as the prophecy said that you should serve Jacob. Listen in the head now. Now, I just wanted to show you that real quick to give you his picture, but I'm still in the Jewish Encyclopedia. And I'm on the page titled The Rothschilds. We got the Rockefellers too for you. Right? In the Jewish Encyclopedia, because when you bring this out and usually talk about this, Elder Lawya, immediately people say, well, that's a conspiracy theory about certain people controlling certain things in the earth. I'm reading what they set up that's still in place right now. And who set it up? Amalek set it up. I'm not going to call them the names they would like to hide themselves under. Okay? They're Amalek. Now, look at your screen. Oh, this double keep popping up. Here it is right here. Okay, one moment. I think I have two of the same pictures. One moment here. I have one more for you. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Under the post-it, right?
Yeah, you read from under the post-it that said the loans and all that.
Yeah, I'm gonna read that. Where's the post-it at?
Yes, sir.
All right, show where it's at, if you don't mind.
It's that last paragraph over the
With the green highlight dots.
yeah.
1 second, folks. You have it, Elder Lawya?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. All right, we have it here. I have it. All right. All right, right here. There we go. All right. Sorry, I had to grab something real quick. Hold tight. We're bringing nothing but the facts today this Sabbath, brothers and sisters. All right.
Just under 30 minutes.
Okay. I got you. Matter of fact, let me blow this up so you look at this. Look at this. Here's all the countries. What you're seeing before you are all the countries the Rothschilds loaned money to gain political and financial power. So the Rothschilds sent their sons. This Nathan Mayer Rothschild. Now Rothschild means what? Red shield. Red shield is Rothschild. That's their family crescent. The six-pointed star of Moloch is their crescent. The red represents the blood shield, red shield of Edom. So now Edom have to consolidate power by setting up banks. In their Jewish encyclopedia, I need you to read that, Elder Lawya.
It says here, as early as February 5th, 1817, the Rothschilds had taken up a Prussian loan of 1.5 million gulden at 5%. And by the end of the following year, the brothers in their collective capacity were reported to be the richest firm in Europe, though they had not conducted any of the great loans of the preceding 3 years. Ehrenberg therefore thinks that they must have gained their fortune by speculating in the loans issued under the auspices of the Barings, probably by bearing operations which were so successful that they forced the governments concerned to allow the Rothschilds to participate in any future loans. It says the Rothschilds during years 1817 to 1848, as far as these men can be definitely ascertained, they make a total of 654,847,000.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
It says here, the above is a list of the loans issued by the Rothschilds during the years 1817 to 1848. As far as these can be definitely ascertained, they make a total of 654,847,200. That's 130,969,440 euros. The profits on these loans were at first very great. Solomon Rothschild in 1820 declared that the brothers in that year made 6 million gulden, probably on the 2 Austrian loans, and etc., about 10%.
Now, here's my question. Right? Now, this is nothing I wasn't going to talk about. It just came to my mind real quick. I'm reading the Jewish encyclopedia, right? Which breaks down the religious history, the practices, and all that of what we call Jewry. My question is here. What is the bank system of the Rothschilds doing in the Jewish encyclopedia? What is it doing there? Because this is what they were going to use as Amalek to consolidate power by putting the whole earth in debt. If you can control all the products, if you can now take the currency and devalue all the currencies on the earth by default, those people in that country, it doesn't matter how many people it is, they become your slaves. You create poverty, you create whatever you want, and now you have access to the people after creating the poverty, and you have enough money to bring solutions. Your solution usually leads to death, destruction, mayhem. Their solution is what Revelation 12 says would be their solution. The destruction of the woman who brought forth Christ, the children of Israel. That's why it's in there. Mm-hmm. They're honoring the construct that gives them power and that gives their children perpetual wealth throughout perpetuity. The bank system. And I didn't make that up. This is them bragging about how they was able to consolidate power. Now, how does it get to us now?
if I could mention before you
Go ahead.
continue,
Go ahead.
just to put this in perspective, in context, these are not personal loans for a house or personal loans for a car or even a business.
Exactly.
They're loaning money to countries.
To countries. And I'm glad you highlighted that. Because now these countries are in debt to them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they're in debt, the politicians in place must do what? They must play ball or be out of the game. You play ball or you're out of the game. We'll pay another politician to progress our initiative against these so-called blacks. These are not just black people. We must systematically keep these people oppressed.
Mm-hmm.
We must set up a class system that keeps them on the bottom and reward those who help them, who continually help them to keep us on the bottom. Because once Israel rise, once that lion rise, once Judah rise, it's over. Now, look at your screen. For the sake of time, I'm going to break this down quickly. 1 second. Look at your screen. Later on down the line, the Rothschilds would make agreements with, and out of them would come the Rockefeller Foundations, which would deal in banking, finances, as well as religion and philanthropy. Religion and philanthropy, which means now that we've created the problems, we'll become the solution. And all this is being funded by the Roman Catholic Church, folks. Philanthropy, where we can bring in modern medicine, technology, certain things to help the poor people who are suffering through what? The oppressions that have happened through circumstance, controlled through banks. They create the issue, they create the poverty, so that now we must now open the doors for them to help our children. Okay? They'll destroy the water, cause diseases. All of this, the banks will do. Mm-hmm. Set up mercenaries, come in and destroy villages so that now we can go to them and say, please, Amalek, please, child of the devil, please bring us a solution. Now, when you read this, let me read it real quick here. I need y'all to look here where it says here, this is the Rockefeller Foundation, funded through what? The American Red Cross. The American Red Cross. Red Cross means Red Shield, Rothschild. They're all in it together. The Rockefeller Foundation. Red Cross is Red Shield. Now, let me go back down here to 2000. It's going all through the years. Look, it started off with the mass. This is all their plan. Then you go back to 2019. Then you go back to all Rockefeller Foundation. Look who they have here. Organizations in which they would empower black women who would progress their hot, stinking mess. And I'm going to go there in a moment. Huh? Okay, I'm going to grab that in a second. 2017. Leading philanthropists, including Richard Chandler, Bill and Melinda Gates, Jeff Skoll, Romesh and Kathy Watwani, and the Rockefeller Foundation announced Co-Impact, a global collaborative for systems change. For what? For systems change. To move everything into a new system. This is funded by the Rockefellers as well as the Rothschilds to switch things around, a new system. With $500 million in planned initial funding for multi-year investments in what? Health, education, and economic opportunity. That's 2017. All of this is being funded through the banks, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and with philanthropy. To do what? To bring forth the mark of the beast, in which that will be the end game into what? Killing the children of Israel who are left in the earth, who keep the commandments and the laws of God. I was up this morning checking out the Rockefeller Foundation. Folks, you talking about some evil, wicked, and sadistic people. Follow the money. And who control the money? Amalek. What are their plans? Their plans is to kill off the children of Israel, who we are. Red shield. Six-pointed star, which is the star of Moloch, the star of Satan, the mark of a man. See? The star of Remphan. This is the star of child sacrifice. 6-point stars. Now, when you look at the 6-pointed star, why is it a mark of a man? A man has 6 members, 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, and what? A member. A sexual organ. All this makes up the 6-pointed star. The star of Satan. What man did he set up? The red shield, the Rothschilds. Who's the Rothschilds? Amalek. Who are they? The enemies of God. How do they attack? Through witchcraft, cunning, deceit. And who do they attack first? Women and children and the weak. They make feeble. They make sick. They thrive off of it. Okay? They create sicknesses and thrive off of the energy of making the whole earth weaker than them. Let me vaccinate all their children, and while we bring forth strong, vibrant, untainted Nephilim seed. Now, I don't want to go too far off the beaten path here. Now that we've identified Amalek and their plan to kill off the righteous who are our people. Revelations 2 and 9, Revelations 3 and 9, Elder Lawya. Because Christ identified them and said, ye are your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. You were a murderer from the beginning. He was speaking of what? The spirit of Amalek. And this is why the Most High wanted Amalek out of here. Because Amalek was operating with the spirit of Cain. And Amalek is over industry, over banks, and guess what? You got it. He's over the COVID-19 initiative. This is one great sadistic party for him. To see everybody running around with masks on, with absolutely nothing going on outside. To make it where you can't get together and protect yourself and protect your family from their attacks. The same way they attacked us from the back of our caravans coming out of Egypt is the same thing they're doing now with this campaign to get us isolated by ourselves in their institutions to kill us off one by one, or in tens, or in droves. This is their plan because they've always worked like this, in darkness. In plain sight, but in darkness. The same way they went behind and began to kill women and children and all that, that's what they're doing now. They're playing on the fears of those that are left out there and getting you isolated through a phone call to bring you in. to be either tested or killed off altogether. This is how Amalek work. You say you have something?
Yeah, they're on the lines of Rockefeller.
Come on in.
All right. Well, it says here, in this one here.
Rockefellers.
No, it's Afro-Germans.
Okay, Afro-Germans. Okay. And what is the source here?
That's Wikipedia.
Wikipedia, Afro-Germans. Afro-Germans in Germany were socially isolated and forbidden to have sexual relations and marriages with Aryans by the Nuremberg laws, and continued discrimination directed at the so-called Rhineland bastards. Nazi officials subjected some 500 Afro black people, German children in Rhineland to forced sterilization. Now, I'm glad you're bringing this out, because when we hear about what happened in World War I, World War II, we hear nothing about what happened to the black people in Germany who was getting killed and the black sisters who were getting sterilized under the Aryan Nazi agenda. And guess what? The Nazi agenda didn't start in Germany. It was created in America.
It's right here. It's the next piece of it. you just said exactly what's there. After the eugenics.
And this is what is this source?
That's also Wikipedia.
This is Wikipedia when it goes into, it says, you'll be interested to know that your work has,
Not stopping that.
okay. After the eugenics movement, the eugenics we understand is Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, but even before that, Margaret Sanger. Bill Gates' father was a eugenicist, a killing, blood-sucking eugenicist. Matter of fact, let me show you him right here. You want to see some weird pictures? Let me show you Bill Gates' father. Look at Bill Gates' father. Oh, I got to blow this up. What is he doing with these children? What is he doing with these children? Folks, I'm going to tell you. These people aren't right. But I digress. They use the banks to pay for mercenaries and to orchestrate the destruction of all the communities they know the children of Israel resided before before colonizations. So that now we'd be dependent, so deprived that we would need to allow the devil in, pedophiles in, killers in, blood drinkers in, just so that we can sustain. This philanthropy they're using have always been evil and wicked, folks. Let me read this. After the eugenics movement was well established in the United States, it was spread to Germany. California eugenicists began producing literature promoting eugenics and sterilization and sending it overseas to German scientists and medical professionals. So what they was doing to us, they sent that information over to do to us in Germany. So what they're hiding in all of this is when they talk about what happened in World War I, World War II, what they're really hiding is what they did to us. And what they're doing to us till this day. By 1933, California had subjected more people to forceful sterilization than all other U.S. states combined. California again. The forced sterilization program engineered by the Nazis was partly inspired by Californians. California have always been the satanic, liberal, progressive evils against society. They usually do it first in California, where Bohemian Grove is. Okay? All their liberal agendas are usually cooked up there first and then hatched throughout the earth. Right here?
Yeah, Rockefeller Foundation.
The Rockefeller Foundation, Amalek. helped develop the fund various German eugenics programs, including the one that Joseph Mengele worked in before he went to Auschwitz. See? Folks, give me that other thing you had on your phone earlier, the plan. I'm talking about the woman, the pregnant woman. Because don't forget, folks, really it's all about them attacking the weakest of the people first. They feed off of that. They get energy from that. It's not like fighting and actually taking some level of accomplishment from actually defeating someone stronger. No, they're backward. They feel more empowered when they're taking the strength from the weak, when they're taking what's left of the weak. That's what empowers them. It has to be babies before they were born, babies in the womb, women who are scared and isolated to themselves. This masochistic type of evil and wicked mindset, this satanic mindset. Look what we have here. A pregnant woman. They're not showing any woman, black women. Researchers found, Amalek News. Researchers found, I'm being funny, it's BCK. Researchers found that pregnant black and Hispanic women are more likely to be exposed to coronavirus. Let me say it again. Researchers have found that pregnant black and Hispanic women are more likely to be exposed to coronavirus. Why? What are they setting the table for here? When you go to have your baby, if you have coronavirus, they will now take your baby and separate your baby to protect your child from you. Oh no, we just got to give you a 2-week period because we got corona here. You can stay isolated while we take care of the child, while we brain kill the child for 14 days. Since you black people done figured out that, you won't voluntarily let us kill you through vaccinations. Or we can tell you, unfortunately, the baby, died of coronavirus because you had coronavirus and, we'll probably go ahead and sell it to a new fit family, an alternative fit family who can teach that baby right. There's many LGBTQs that need babies. And we'll just tell you it died of corona and don't worry about it. We'll take real good care of it.
It's the vaccinations too.
Huh?
The vaccinations get them scared.
Exactly. So here it is. You go inside that room and say you don't want vaccinations. They'll go upstairs and begin to talk with the administration and say, you know what? Let's pull COVID on them. Let them know that we need a test. Or we already tested them already while she was pregnant and the test came back positive. Get that baby. All right. That leads us to this. Okay, last but not least, and this will segue us into our Wednesday class. Right? Our Wednesday broadcast. The serpent couldn't take down Adam. He had to do what? He had to go to the weaker vessel. He had to go to Eve and use Eve to take down Adam, being the serpent. Well, Christ said to Amalek, "Ye are of your father the devil," right? So Amalek will use the same tactic, the same trick. He said, well, listen, I'm going to have to separate that black man from his woman. And here we are. Through socialism, that the banks were set up to actually pay the woman to do what? To be empowered against the man who would save her at the very end from that same enemy. who empowered you. Now that they have completed their task in perfectly separating the family, it's like, oh, don't worry about it. We don't need the woman no more. We don't need her. It's time. Pull the plug. Well, don't worry about it. You gonna let them out there by themselves? Of course I'm gonna let them out there by themselves. You thought we was for the woman? You thought we was for abused people? You thought we just needed her long enough to fight against him so that we can consolidate all power to crush all of them. Starting with her and her baby first. We just needed households with no men. So that we can have access for sacrifice and to do what we would like to the women. What about 911? 911, they can't call 911 anymore. We're going to defund 911. You're going to leave them out there like that? Hey, no one told them to not like the man of God. They took the bag. They took the bag. They took the bag. And now they're out there. Like, what am I going to do? Oh, my goodness. You mean to tell me? Yeah, the man that you thought was nothing, that you chose, you thought everyone was greater than. That's the man that the Most High had born. We were born in the earth to help save you. They don't give a D about you. And here we are. Here we are. Folks, Satan told Amalek, listen, the strength is the image of God. You must take that black woman from that black man. Because that image is the image that will one day judge you. So they empowered the woman. Getting the education and getting this and getting that. I got my own money. I got all that. No, the banks tricked you. Your power don't come through money. Your power comes through us. That's who your power come through. Okay? Let me drop it. That's where your power comes from. Your powers come through us. You know what? And I thought about it, and I looked at it. I'm like, before the Civil Rights Movement, Elder Lawya, the knockoff of what Obama and Michelle try to make themselves out to be was what? Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott. That's their real example where they were practicing to try to be that real first family. And I need you to check out the power of Martin Luther King and the humility of Coretta Scott. You rarely heard her say anything, highly educated and all that. But the power was in her humility and her reverence to that man. I need y'all to check something out because they had the FBI talking about they had secret audio of him out with other people and doing all that, trying to smear his reputation to his wife. They would actually play on the phone him saying something to another woman and all that. And not once did you hear publicly Coretta Scott say that I'm better off by myself. I don't need a man. The man is no good. Not once. Folks, it was socialism and the civil rights that began to put a wedge between the image of God, who the black man is the black man that leads the black woman, and vice versa. When I say vice versa, Anything the woman gets was supposed to be given to him to do what? To increase his power and status. Okay? And everything you receive, any glory you receive, was supposed to be through him. The same way any glory or anything that we would receive in this earth as men go back to the Most High. The Most High covers man, and man covers the woman. They're like, you know what? We need to make strong women that would oppose the man. I'm going to show you where we're gotten, and I'm going to pick this up Wednesday, folks, while we're here. The banks set up socialism and use the money to domesticate our families so that we could no longer be dependent on one another. We'd be socialized like animals. And by doing so now, many people will be in line for what? COVID subsidies and all that up until the time they're chipped with the mark of the beast because they've been socialized. They would not have been able to do this if they didn't first separate the families. They made women into brawlers. Now, the other nations, their women aren't perfect, right? They have issues too. But guess what? Their women knew not to go against their man. Why? Because their man holds the bag. You say something against us, you out of here and you down there with them. So it couldn't affect them, this feminism and all that, the way it would affect us negatively. Because they know that there's certain places their mouth can't go without being thrown in the heat with us. But our people took it on. I want to drop this real quick, and I'm going to go into it. I don't want to talk too much about it because I'm well past the time now. The devil, in the beginning, the serpent had to use the woman to turn so that he could actually gain power. So Amalek, seen us close all the way up into the time through slavery and all that, and say, you know what, we need to make an independent woman. An independent woman is evil. Because Eve wasn't meant to be independent. She was meant to help meet her man. Her man is her power. You were deceived by the serpent into believing that you can have any power without your man leading it. Now you're left out there. A lot of our sisters are left out there because they believed Amalek. They believed the devil. And they made you believe that we were nothing. Now, I'm not going no 2 more hours. You come here Wednesday, you're going to get the business. You're going to get it right here. All scriptures. Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
Get Revelations 3 and 9 and Revelations 2 and 9.
Revelation 2, verse 9. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not.
I know the blasphemy. Christ says, I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not. They're Amalek. They're Romans. But are what?
But are the synagogue of Satan.
But are the synagogue of Satan. They sat back and said, you know what? We're going to fund the total destruction of family. We're going to make these circular arguments in which there's no resolve within the communities. So that now Adam is blaming the woman and saying, that's the woman you gave me. That's why I took of it and ate. The woman you gave me. And the woman is not going to, and the man is not going to take ownership. He's going to say, you gave me the woman. The woman is not going to take ownership. Oh no, the serpent you made beguiled me. No one is going to take ownership, and it's going to be a circular blame while Amalek is killing everyone. No sooner as it brought out, well, listen, it was Eve that presented the fruit to Adam. No sooner as it's brought up, it's like, well, hold up, I need to find a man that I can actually, bow to and be that woman too. The Most High didn't say that. You're supposed to be a woman of God and through humility and love, regardless of what that man is. You're not supposed to say, well, it's cause and effect. I'm going to be wicked because he's wicked. I'm going to change my obligation to the Almighty because he ain't right. No. It don't work that way. That's that circular argument. No, it's time to take ownership. Either you're wrong or you're right. So Amalek did what? That's right, folks. The reality is he weaponized our women against us. And a lot of them don't even know any better. They just thought that it was just a natural way of, growing up in the Western world or in America. They didn't see it as that. They seen it as opportunity. They seen it as freedom. They didn't look at it as them being weaponized against us. But you know what I don't see on the news? You know what I don't see on TV? I don't see Jewish women speaking against Jewish people, Jewish men. I don't see Chinese women on news and front and on programs talking about Chinese men. And guess what? They doing all types of wicked. So you can't say because of, well, they doing their business. No, let me tell you, they drinking blood, they raping kids, they doing all types of stuff out there that we would dare to do. So you can't claim it's because their men are right and we aren't right. You can't claim that. No, they understand the integrity of power. They understand how integrity works aligned with power. If I tear down the man, I'm tearing down the institution of my nation. I'm not here to represent the weakness of my nation. If I tear down this man, then I'm tearing down all he did to make this grand power I call the nation for me. This same man had to go conquer, had to go the war. He had to take down in order for me to sit here with my opinion living on his land. And they respect that. So is there a solution? Absolutely there's a solution. Because it's not about blame. It's too late in the game to blame. We just have to admit where we are to fix it. Right? So it's not about blame. If we're going to point out Amalek, we have to point out how he weaponized us against each other too. Because Amalek couldn't do it without bribery. And that bribe was used to divide us. Socialism, welfare, council housing, all of that took the power from the man and made it where I don't need you. Daddy will take care of me. But now daddy is requiring payment now. I need your children, okay? I need you to take the mark of the beast. You can stay in your house, your council housing. I need you to serve Lucifer, okay? And I'm going to take your children. Mm-hmm. It comes with a price. And where else do you have to go? How long how many generations of welfare and council housing have you depended on me? I know it's not even in your mind what to do to escape my venom. But the Most High has a plan. I don't need Revelations 3 and 9. Let's get this real quick. Where that paper that I just had? I had Proverbs real quick. Yeah. Proverbs 21 and 19. Let's read it.
Proverbs 21.
And see, the whole thing is this. One thing we can't argue with brothers and sisters. You can get mad at me for bringing it, but you cannot argue with facts. You can't. Let's read it real quick.
Proverbs 21, verse 19. It is better to dwell in the wilderness
It is better to dwell in the wilderness
than with a contentious and angry woman.
than with a contentious and angry woman. A woman always, and they've developed this, they've created this within our communities. Women that are walking around with chips on their shoulders. As if everyone is against them. Angry and mad. Okay, and the Bible says it's better to what?
It says, it is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman.
A contentious is a woman that's always talking back, arguing back, always have something to say. And eventually, according to the Bible, this person ends up alone and blaming everyone else for why they're alone. But this is the person the serpent had to create, socially engineer, to keep the children of Israel, to keep the man from ever coming into his power. The system had to create that contentious type of person. And there is no reason for it. Because we can come up with reasons, but how does that feel? Do you feel light? Do you feel good? Being combative, contentious, or are you tired of it? And this is why the Most High said, you know what? Christ says, repent. I didn't make you that way. You don't have to be that way. Don't let society make you believe that you have to be that way. Repent. Become a woman. Become a woman. It's not everybody else's. It's not everyone else's fault. That if you are alone, that you are alone, or that you cannot keep a relationship. It's not everyone else's fault. They created a system that would empower contentious women. And men, especially with men waking up now, men aren't going for it anymore. They're not. Like, we're not doing it. It's too late in the game. I can't fight the enemy, bring forth the kingdom, and fight you too. Can't do it. Proverbs 25 and 24.
Proverbs 25, verse 24.
Read.
It is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop.
It's better to dwell in the corner of the housetop. That means a man will be in his own castle, but he'll isolate a little part of the house for himself for peace. Read.
Than with a brawling woman.
Then with a what?
A brawling woman.
A brawling woman. A woman that's always want to go back and forth and fight.
And in a wide house.
In a wide house. We have to stop the fighting. And there's some crazy statistics that's out there. And I'm like, man, we're here. We are here. If you look at what's going on, and I've been looking at this for the last couple of weeks, folks, it's bad. If you were to release everyone out of jail, and every man, speaking of black and men of color, if everyone was married right now, with even the people in jail being married, there would be 2 million of our women still unmarried in the earth. I mean, in America. In America by itself. That's scary. That's scary. So now, the way the devil is looking at this, Satan is looking at this with Amalek, is like, it's time to strike right now. These people are out. You know how many people are alone with children with no men to protect them? Here it is. We can actually feed the beast on these women and children. We can do it now. We need to strike while the iron is hot. COVID, they're alone. They're so afraid out there by themselves. If we bring forth the mark of the beast, these women will acquiesce. They don't understand what's going on. We can now re-educate the next generation through these women. That's what they're thinking right now. They're dependent on us for shelter. There's no man around. There's all these different children. Hey, these are our children. They belong to us. So how do we get it together? This is how, in a nutshell. Because Isaiah the 13th chapter tells us that the women are going to be ravished. They're going to allow these men to come in and do all types of things to women. This is why they made it contentious and put that wedge between a man and woman for this time now, to get access to the last children that they would utilize for the beast system. Here we are. Let's get Isaiah 4. And it's deep that when this stuff is taught, a carnal mind will go directly to the flesh and say polygamy. See, that's a carnal mind. That's carnal. Okay? Let's get Isaiah 4:1.
Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1.
Read it.
And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man.
Now a carnal man would look at this and say, that's talking about, okay, let's go sex up some women. When it's not talking about that. Mm-hmm. Look how many people were in Moses' home during Passover night when the death angel passed over. Even Moses' mother-in-law was protected by Moses' shield or mark that was on the doorpost. He wasn't married to his mother-in-law. But every woman under his hedge was protected. So each man has a seal. When we talk about the 144,000, you can have a church where there's one bishop over it. And there may be 15, 20, maybe 50 single women in the church, but they're being guarded and hedged by that bishop. He's not married to these women. He's guiding these women. Okay? See, but that's how they've broken the men's mind. I'm talking about the women. They've totally bent and broken the man's mind. For us to believe that something that the Most High will create a carnal solution to a spiritual problem. Okay. That's where men are broke at. You ain't going to fix this with your wand. Okay? Doesn't work that way. Finish reading again.
And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread.
We will eat our own bread.
And wear our own apparel.
Listen, we're not going to be too much trouble on you. Just help us. Just protect us. Read.
Only let us be called by thy name.
Only let us be called by thy name. Like I said, a carnal person will look at this and say, oh, flesh. You called by someone, you take on their name through marriage. That's not an absolute. Because each man is written in heaven under that mark. Okay? You're being hedged by that 144,000 who's going to guide you Doesn't have nothing to do with you taking on that person's name personally, when to some instances that will happen. But that's not an absolute. The majority of women are just going to be coming under the protection of a righteous man to guide them. Okay? Read.
Only take away, or to take away our reproach.
Only to take away our reproach. The reproach is shame. How is shame taken away? By us confessing our faults and being baptized and have that old man or that old woman die in the water and come up with newness of spirit and saying, listen, I was programmed to be that way. That's not what God intended. The world shaped me in iniquity and began to celebrate me being a shameful person, a shameful woman. I was celebrated in this world, but God is not going to accept me like this in his. The women, you have to humble yourself. When a man is speaking, when a man is bringing something forth, you're going to have to humble yourself. Okay, that 50-50, we both equal. All that stuff they told you was a lie. And now the devil is about to cash in on that lie. You're going to need protection. The Bible tells us in that day, a man shall be like pure gold. So you have to start looking at your man differently and looking at the men out there differently too. They might not have everything in the world, but guess what? They're going to be able to stave off more in this war than you. Amalek is coming after Israel. That's what COVID is. That's what Corona is. It has nothing to do with a cold. The Israeli army was teaching the police force in the United States how to choke people out last year. And that was in our Academy News. What we're seeing happen in America now is Israeli tactics on how to kill black men. The war is here. Repent, be baptized, and sisters, no longer allow Amalek to put a wedge between you and your man. You're going to need your man through this. A man through this. And guess what? If you somewhere over there talking about and claiming that you married to Jesus, you're going to be sorely disappointed when them jackboots come through and Jesus is nowhere around. Okay? That's another lie these Christian churches have convinced people into their own delusions, claiming that you married to Jesus and you don't need a man. Guess what? Christ set up man. Mm-hmm. The man is married to Jesus. Okay? Or Yeshua. Yeah, anything?
No, just some of the comments are just crazy, because if we were to say something about a brother or whatever doing something wrong, you wouldn't hear one peep in the comments of saying not all men. But right. As soon as you say certain things, it's all these people that run to start saying not all women.
Not all women?
As if we actually said all women.
Right.
Well, I don't think, yeah, what Elder Rawchaa is saying is deep in itself. Because immediately when these things are brought out, you'll hear someone say, well, not all women. They don't even realize you've been taught to deflect and not receive through your answers. Your answers is deflection. Your answers are deflection. You've been taught to automatically start blocking it out. It ain't me, not all women. Yes, you too. Any woman that was raised in the Western world, you've been taught to be contentious. That's the Western world way. Independence. Hypergamy. Okay. I'm an educated this and educated that. All women have been programmed and shaped in iniquity, the same way all men have been shaped in iniquity. So no more deflecting. All of us have been affected by Babylon. It's wrong by saying not all women. All women. When a man is speaking, you are to assume the role of a woman. And not try to talk a man and try to be out of bounds, all outside of your space. You can't be in a man's space. It's man time now. Or when the jackboots come through, you're gonna follow a man one way or the other. And the Bible, Isaiah 13 tells us that the women are gonna be ravished. So you on Instagram and showing yourself all out and all that. Listen, I'm not even going to try to make no videos and say stop doing all that. Guess what? There's some foreign troops somewhere held up right down into some hotel saying, I got her, you get her. Here's her cousin right here. This is where they live at. You're going to have this one. I'm going to have that one. And when they come, they're going to come already knowing the woman they're going to rape and ravish. Okay? So only thing you're doing is displaying. You're displaying for the foreign troops. They're already looking at the women they're going to rape. They know where you live at. They know what you like to eat. They know your name. They know your family's name. They know they already got it planned on what they're going to do with you. Isaiah 13 tells us that these women are going to be ravished. You're going to be held as prisoners, ravished over and over and over again by different men, and you're not going to love it. That's the Bible that's talking about these. Hey, either you listen to a man this way, or you listen to a man that way. Anything other, Lawyer?
I was actually going to read it. A lot of people, when we
bring
this out, they, Isaiah chapter 13, verse number, let me see here. Let me get straight to it. I'll read verse 12 first. Isaiah 13, verse number 12. I will make a man more precious than fine gold.
I will make a man more precious than fine gold. That means what? Rare. Rare. Out of all metals, what makes gold, what gives gold its value is that it's rarest of all metals. You can't find as much gold as any other metal. It's talking about the chosen man. Read.
Even a man in the golden wedge of Ophir. Jumping down, it says, verse 15, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword.
Everyone that is joined to Babylon in the mindset of Babylon will be what?
Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword.
Fall by the sword. That's why you listen to what's going on in the news and you following that. Whatever you following, guess what, folks? You are building your own tomb following Babylon opposed to the Most High. The Most High is giving us a way out of this. If you follow what's over there, the Bible says you will be thrust through. The war is coming. Read.
Their children shall be dashed to pieces
The children shall be dashed to pieces before your eyes. You sit there looking at your children being killed. And guess what? There's no man there to help you. I'm reading an article right now. They talking about taking babies from the women at birth. Lying and to claim that with these bogus corona tests that you got corona. Read.
It says, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled.
Their houses shall be spoiled.
And their wives ravished.
And their wives, women, ravished.
They use the term when we talking like this is bashing women, right?
Who says bashing women?
That's saying this in chat. So look, check it out. Is that bashing women? Because that's what's coming.
Yeah.
That's what's coming.
Listen. listen, I wouldn't be, let me make it clear. I wouldn't be foolish to even think that we can do this without women.
Mm-hmm.
And women would be foolish to think think that they can do this without men.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been programmed to believe that correction is bashing. And there's parts of our makeup and our characters that needs bashing. Okay? It's the truth. I'm seeing so many scenarios where women are doing what they want to do, going into different countries, like what was on the radio the other day. Women in another country saying, why don't you come over here to Jordan and all that? Listen, I already know what's going to happen to these women. Everyone wants to be Sarah, but no one wants to admit they're Jezebel. You ask a woman, what do you know about Jezebel? I don't know. Well, how do you know you're not walking in the spirit of Jezebel? Everybody want to be the pure. Right? The majority of the people and women in this earth are taught to be Jezebel. How can you be somewhere in another country, a woman, trying to guide people into the Middle East where a bomb is about to drop?
Read this real quick.
Go ahead, read it.
Romans 3:23. For all have sinned. For those who say not all. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. That's the reality. That's the Bible.
Exactly. Here we are. Here we are, brothers and sisters. Amalek attack on Israelites. We know what Amalek is, but understand that Amalek could not have done what he's doing right now without a tool. And sisters, it's time for you to pull yourself back and say you will no longer be utilized. Okay, you will no longer be utilized. Repent from that act, that independent woman crap, and acknowledge and begin to speak in favor of the men of the Most High. Because that's who we are. Even the man that you may think is nothing right now, the Most High may have plans for.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Now think about that. We're going to have to start speaking favorably with our mouths for our family, for our men. Women, sisters, all your power till this day going forward goes to a man. If you don't know how to do that, it's okay. You can learn it. Okay, it's all goes with femininity, not speaking out of turn. Okay, speaking with virtue and honor. Not the outward appearance is what you're showing forth, but who you are in the inside. It's time for you to start doing this, putting more work for the inside than what we would actually put towards adorning ourselves. And that's what I'm going into Wednesday. With that, get ready. Amalek is at the door, and we know he's the enemy. He's looking to attack children and women. Don't fall for their test. Don't fall for their deception through media. Don't fall for their Black Lives Matter. Don't fall for their protests. Get up under the Most High. Get up under Christ. Repent and be baptized. And let's do this. Let's move this to the next level as the children of Israel. They want to highlight us. We've just exposed them. Shalom. See you tomorrow in the academy, in which we expose Ishmael. We will destroy the religion Islam tomorrow in our Hebrew and Bible Academy. Shalom. Stay prayed up, sin not. We will soon see Zion. The Bible.